Hey, this is Jason J. Lewis, Superman from Justice League Action, and you're watching SuperWonder Legacy.
You're strong.
I know.
Are you a sight for sore eyes?
It's nice to have someone who likes you for being you.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I am here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello.
And today we are discussing a fun one. What would the wedding of Superman and Wonder Woman look like? Because again, hey, what's up, Cameron? Because as Britt and I normally say, we'll tell the stories that DC doesn't have the balls to do. So
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So let's do this. So I asked Britt to come up with how would the ceremony go, and I need to say you completely nailed it with this one. Like you literally nailed it.
I mean, this is something that's pretty obvious,
To us, maybe, yeah.
Especially within the New 52. You're thinking, okay, they're going to have this long-term relationship. Eventually, it would become maybe an engagement or something. It would never, ever be like Batcat, bait and switch. Or
screw you, Tom King.
Yeah, never a cash grab. And especially during that time, or just in general, you see a lot of people with Superman and Wonder Woman themed weddings. You see engagements, proposals, even maternity photo shoots and stuff like that. So it's pretty obvious. And I mean, honestly, throughout the years too, DC has had Superman and Wonder Woman matching rings, or just even if it's not matching, couples use them as their wedding bands or engagement rings or something like that.
But
So
Britt, I
it's
thought
pretty.
I thought Super Wonder didn't sell.
I was gonna say something. Let's see. Dang, now
I
have to
love
come
Britt
up
just
with-
trying to find ways to curse without cursing.
Yeah, I have to come up with another word for it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
All right.
you know where I'm going with.
Oh, trust me, I'm well aware. As someone that has known you for 5 years now, I know where you're going. So let's get started with this. So the wedding of the century, yes, and you could totally. It just goes to show that Super Wonder is aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, I know. So again, so let's talk about this wedding, Britt. So begin, my good friend.
Okay, so again, you've had, Superman and Wonder Woman has been teased for decades. We do have some hints of, them married, having children, and things like that. I think it was McDuffie's JLA run,
Mm-hmm.
where in an alternate universe, Clark and Diana are married. But Clark unfortunately died, I think, by Brainiac. He didn't come back to life. It was basically like Death of Superman, but this time he doesn't come back, which is kind of awful. But Diana basically fights in his honor, and main or prime Clark and Diana would, I guess, figure it out, or would know that they are married in an alternate universe and talk about it. Then we do have, Kingdom Come and Distant Fire, and other alternatives where they are married. So with this is basically letting it be canon, or whatever you want to call canon. And it basically says it's not just, as I said, a Batcat thing where it's just, a money grab. is really telling a story of these two with this long decade of friendship build up, this romance that has been within main continuity and the alternate universes, and you're finally putting it together.
Yeah, exactly. So then so in other words, what Britt and I are really saying is like this would be a story for in continuity. This isn't any else world. This is what, and as I've said many times, you can't tell me this would not sell if they actually went through with it.
Right.
Hang on.
You're
Yeah, go ahead.
you're especially because of what they represent, and that's pretty much following what the relationship should have been or started out as with the new 52 was, again, it wasn't a gimmick. It wasn't anything like that. It was basically going based on their history.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like, and here's the thing though, when you look at like New 52, even like, the relationship even pre New 52, because I know some people try to like deflect or like try and like limit it and saying, oh, it was just a New 52 thing. It actually wasn't when you think about it, because as Britt brings up, it's like, and as you started, a lot of this is like New 52 just formalized what was already there. It wasn't like they just made it up and they were like, let's just put Superman with Wonder Woman in this universe. I mean, yeah, that was part of it, but it was essentially like this has gone on, like there's been flirting, or like Britt said, Elseworld stuff since before Flashpoint ever happened. Arguably, it's been a thing since these two characters first met.
Right. And the thing is, I think that is where the new 52 kind of, there is revisionist history there, to think that, oh, they're just together just because. No, it was simply, they had already had a talk, a meeting of what they would implement within this reboot. And the one thing was Clark and Diana getting together. Um, they even had a very specific rollout, which was um, partner up with Match.com. I think she was the advisor, and she wrote an entire article um, as a marriage counselor and therapist, and basically explaining why Clark and Diana would be together in fiction, but also basically translate that or have that resonate with real life couples. So it was a total different um, mindset within this relationship already. Is that it was supposed to resonate with actual fans, with actual couples, and especially when Justice League 12 came out, you did see a lot of couples, trying to re reenact the kiss. You had fan arts and stuff. Even couples at that time, again, getting engaged, and they had themselves, drawn as Superman and Wonder Woman for their engagement announcements or their wedding cards or things like that. So yeah, it's all there. It was just the fact that New 52 does have this stain, if you will, on it that makes it feel like it was rushed or other decisions basically overshadowed it. And yeah, that might be true, but at the same time, Clark and Diana's relationship was not one of those that was done just to say that, oh, he's not with Lois anymore, or it was a gimmick or anything like that. It wasn't that. It was something very genuine. Yeah, could they have really delved deep into, they have history, we're going to build up a little bit more? Yes, of course, we say that all the time, but it's not like it just was um pulled out the air.
Well, yeah. Well, and then but luckily, but here's the thing. And the funny part is when you look at the sales of the individual book itself, the Superman Wonder Woman book, it like dominated all the Superman and Wonder Woman sales. So I'm like, when was the last time that's ever happened? Not under Tom King, that's for sure.
Right. It's when the book came out, you did have, naysayers, especially with Chloe shippers and some Batman fans or whatever that don't really care about Wonder Woman. And then you have even writers saying that, oh, this is just something temporary. This won't last. This is, going against the tradition or whatever like that. And some of these writers, it was kind of showing themselves to be very limiting and uncreative. And then it was also showing that, okay, you've had kind of like rebirth, rip off Superman and Wonder Woman, like characters be together. So it's kind of like your characters are, are aping off of this relationship. So how can you say it doesn't work when you're writing a rip off of it? Um, but but yeah, it's just I would say the thing is they should have just taken their time when doing the new 52, and I'm pretty sure it would have lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get to so let's talk about the love finally acknowledged. So yeah, so essentially this is again, we're treating this like they actually are doing this in canon. And by the way, yes, these are all the times. I believe this is all pre-crisis of Superman and Wonder Woman getting married.
Yeah, you had these Silver Age stories where Lois was imagining, Clark and Diana getting married, knowing that Diana was kind of like Clark's or Superman's quote unquote perfect match. You had where just them having those moments, even Flash, saying that when Diana lost her powers, he said that, and she resigned from JLA. Flash Barry at that time was saying that Clark might have lost Diana, and he always thought that they would get married at some point.
Yeah, I love Barry Allen being a secret Super Wonder guy. I like that. The best Flash. Yes, I will die on that hill. Bite me. But so the interesting thing about this, and as we'll talk about, is because the funny part, Britt, is the way you describe this in the presentation. It's funny because a lot of the things that you say they should do, DC did, attempted to do with Batcat, which was hilarious. Like they actually encourage comic book stores to buy wedding cakes.
See, that's the thing. You would have that because, again,
No,
with
but
DC,
let me clarify. Knowing they weren't going to go through with the wedding.
yeah, that was so idiotic. The thing is, again, everything that DC does now, or, somewhat for pairings, it came naturally for Super Wonder. The wedding cakes, the um having the comic book shops involved. You know, as I said, it was a couple, and actually a gay couple. They bought out their comic book store, and with that, they had themselves again as Superman and Wonder Woman, or Superman and Wonder Man,
Mhm.
and they printed off these comic book issues of their engagement. So it's kind of like these unique ideas first come from Super Wonder. And then when trying to put that with other pairings, it just doesn't work. It
Well,
doesn't. And it comes off very much as the gimmick that they suppose Super Wonder is. And also when trying to make it, I remember seeing, with the Batman promo, the Batman movie, and they were saying matching couples Halloween costumes, and it was Batman and Catwoman, and it's like, okay, First of all, that promo, that is Superman and Wonder Woman. You know,
Yeah.
just the idea of matching costumes has always been Super Wonder.
Well, yeah, and the fact that let's put the couples together that actually makes sense. But here's the thing about it: these comic book companies are always having comic book stores do really stupid stuff. Like, let me put it this way: really questionable stuff, despite the story. Because I believe I told you this before, and I'll tell the chat this again. When Captain America became a Hydra agent, they wanted comic book shops to put up Hydra flags, forgetting the fact that Hydra's most associated with the Nazi Party.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of rage baiting going on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's the gimmick. They aren't thinking beyond that. And again, with Super Wonder, it's always thought of naturally by the fandom. And once DC picks up on that and they try to, as I said, apply it to other pairings, it doesn't work. And it comes off so cringe and so unnatural. So
Exactly.
again, with this though, all you're doing overall is just taking what the fandom has done and keep it genuine. But as you know, we go to that part of the fandom involvement is again what we've always done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So then we get to, so tell me about the proposal.
Okay, so with this proposal, basically we always have to have Hippolyta involved. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's number one thing. And I love having that mother-in-law, son-in-law, or relationship building between Clark and Hippolyta, especially again with going back to Perez and what he said between not so much as like very much a counter or anti-Hercules, but that relationship to show a much healthier, much respectful relationship between Clark and Diana and how, Hippolyta views it. So he, of course, goes to Hippolyta in a very respectful manner and asking for her blessing. And she sees, you basically have this moment with Hippolyta that she's always wanted her daughter protected.
Mm-hmm.
And she never wanted her to go through anything that she's ever gone through. And especially whoever she's with. She just want her to be happy. And once she sees Cal and know that he has done everything he could, to show himself as worthy of her daughter's love, worthy of her trust, of course, she of course accepts him and gives her blessing. And it's also a callback to the Ruby Spears episode too, where they have that little moment, and Clark is basically saying, your daughter and I make a great team, but I do love her. So again, you have this moment that I don't think honestly in general DC, they don't have Hippolyta truly, um, they don't have her perspective of Diana's relationships. They try to with Tom Treasure, I think,
Oh,
but
God.
with that, it was more so like Hippolyta is a mouthpiece for Diana is getting old, so she needs babies, things like that. That weird type lifetime movie, mother annoyance.
Yeah.
But
By
this
the
is
way,
a
Cameron brings up a funny point. The Wonder Bat people would be like, Batman wouldn't need to get her respect because he already has it. And I'm like,
you know what, that is
I
kind of sad
hate
because
the,
that's so true.
I hate the Wonder Bat people because they keep trying to make it out like Batman's the number one character. And the sad part is that Tom King really helped them when he had Zeus go, there's gods, then there's men, but then there's Batman. And I'm
You
like,
have that.
ah.
You also have when Tom King had, Hippolyta basically say against Batman, when he was basically talking against the uh, ideology ologies of the Amazons, you know, and how peaceful they are. And whatever he said with Batman and the Amazons not being of peace or whatever, you know, killing and all of that. And then, of course, you have Greg Rucka, who wanted Diana to pursue Batman out of rebellion, being rebellious against Hippolyta,
Yeah.
knowing that he is this bad boy and would basically be, I don't know, the Hades or the Zeus, you know, or Hercules that Hippolyta feared.
Exactly. It's like I've long said the difference between Clark and Bruce for Diana is because when you look, and this is what the Wonder Bat people ignore, and this is why they have to focus on what she does for Batman, because when you look at what he does for her, it falls apart really fast. Because when you look at it, Clark represents everything the Amazon. Clark is the refutation of everything the Amazons think of men, particularly men that have the powers of gods. Bruce is closer to what the Amazons think of men. So I'm like, of the two, which one do you think it makes more sense and it's more organic for Wonder Woman to be with, to show an example of this is not of the way we thought of men, we're wrong. The men are capable of goodness despite having insane powers.
Exactly. And that again is why we have the Amazons so much of a focal point within their relationship. We also had that even with Sewell. You know, I honestly feel like he wanted that, you know, with having Diana go to Themyscira, seeing her
Oh, he so
mother,
did.
and, you know, the fact that Diana longed to have the relationship talk with her mother, and then she had Hesha to be a sounding board, but also Hesha going behind her back, yeah, but she wanted to make sure that Clark was worthy of Diana. So we
Exactly.
got a little hint of that, which I do appreciate, but I wish we would have had more. But that was the thing. That is always a thing within Clark and Diana's relationship, that every part of the relationship is, in a sense, more leaning on Diana's perspective and her world, um, because of that, you know, that whole thing of showing Clark worthy of her. You don't. We're going backwards from Diana being, um, as some detractors would say, she's reduced to his love interest. No, it's always in the perspective of Clark basically being Diana's support and her love interest, and him showing himself to be worthy of her.
And these same people, I've seen those same people embrace Wonder Bat, and I go, hello.
Exactly. You know, you say, "Oh, Clark will overshadow Diana." What do you think Batman would do?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so how does, and by the way, the other thing I will say is like, is that's my one ding on Charles Sewell's run, and it's not even his fault. I wish we would have gotten Clark interact with Hippolyta, or the what they could have at least done, and I feel like this is the least he would have done, is have it where Diana brings Clark at least to see like the clay statue of Hippolyta and stuff, at least so they can like air quote meet.
Honestly, the fact that Sewell had a Wonder Woman arc, you know, planned out after the Doomsday event, I wouldn't be surprised if that was probably going to be a moment,
It was a
because,
perfect.
of course, with the way Sewell did a lot of things within the book, it always had a callback to something prior. So Diana going to Themyscira alone and questioning whether she could be with Clark, you know, and talking to her mother, that would have been that full circle of her bringing him to Themyscira. And yeah, talking to the statue, but still having that moment to say, well, yeah, Mom, I do love him and will give this a chance.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like again, it's like I want to say he would have done this, but anyway. So tell me more about the engagement.
Okay, so we have basically, um, a rewrite of sorts of the young romance one shot Valentine story where they are, or it puts you in the mindset of that they are on the a skyrise, restaurant, having dinner, a nice night, and then he takes her back to Smallville, to the field, Justice League 14, where they had their second kiss, and he proposed there. It's the same exact
That
scene
works.
within that, but of course, it's just him now proposing.
That would work really well. I would like that. What you could also do is do like he brings her to the top of the Lincoln Memorial, but the symbolism of the scene that you use actually works as well. So I'm fine with either way.
Right. And the reason why I chose that is because this is the moment where they officially became a couple. The first kiss on top of the
Uh,
memorial, it was kind of like a very um a an emotional rush, I would say, and they had to sort of figure out what that would be. But then that second kiss in Smallville was kind of like, no, this is real. This is something that we can try out, or it can be something, um, to open ourselves to.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really, yeah. That's why I said the symbolism works because even if you look at the dialogue of that scene, it's like even that's when he asked her to trust him, and I go, okay, that works. I like that. That works.
Right. It's all about that. You are basically keeping a theme and going full circle to those moments of them first starting to trust to now it's official of trusting and really taking that bigger step in their relationship.
It's the ultimate trust, as a matter of fact.
Right.
So then we get to the actual ceremony.
Okay. So of course we have to be very unique and have three ceremonies. So you have one that is on Themyscira, you have one in the fortress, and then you have one in Smallville. And it's basically combining their cultures as um, Diana as an Amazon and Clark being accepted, you know, by Hippolyta and the other Amazons. You have now seeing the Kryptonian culture and how a wedding or so works within that. And then Smallville, this is the more mortal way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so. Here's the funny part about that, Britt. That's definitely the way DC would do it because they would want to stretch this out and profit as much as possible. Because can you imagine? You could make this whole thing a 4-issue series: the proposal and each of the 3 weddings.
Exactly. So the first one will be on Themyscira, and Clark, he's wearing a toga of sorts, just to invoke that Greek culture. Diana have a Grecian dress, and of course, it is blessed within the temple of Aphrodite. You have Aphrodite herself and Hera watching over them. And yes, we wouldn't have Hera as the evil, petty stepmother like that she was in the 52, but she will be a little bit more supportive.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, Cameron says, thank you for bringing in Kryptonian culture because I can see that being a big FU to the people that say Krypton is go. Yep. Actually, Britt, was that one of the reasons why you wanted to focus on Krypton?
That and because Clark and Diana are about celebrating cultures, accepting of cultures. And again,
Mhm.
that is what the book that Sewell wrote. He wrote that as Diana learning the Kryptonian language, her letting him um, within the first issue. She was like, he wants our relationship as a secret. Is he ashamed of me? Is he ashamed of who he is? And having to learn that And then through the whole theme of the book was both of them learning each of their ways, their culture, and how to bridge it together. And
Yeah,
Clark was more open to not only himself but to Diana. And yeah, Krypton is very much important. That is the balance
exactly.
between the man.
And NJ asked, is Hera currently a jerk or not? Well, here's the thing. All gods written by Tom King are jerks, so I don't know at this point.
Yeah, we don't know. I would say that she's probably still is, just because of that through line of how, DC sees her.
And
And
if you
it's,
look at the end of the Clunerad run, she kind of was.
yeah, she, she's definitely that evil stepmother. I think it's going a little bit overboard because at least with Azarello, she she was more so angry at Zeus, and yeah, she did punish the Amazons, punish Hippolyta and everything, but she had this soft spot for Diana. So with having her um evil, I mean the Finches did that too, having her a little off, and petty against Diana, but if you go with Azarello, she had that soft spot for her. She knew that Diana was not the problem.
I see. That's interesting. I like that. So then let's go to the Kryptonian ceremony, which here's the thing. Again, what I would love is the way we could do this is have it where like Kara thanks Diana for like embracing Krypton. And then Diana goes, well, of course, it's a vital part of who Clark is. That's the FU to people that say forget Krypton.
That and within that is also that Kara, because that whole something borrowed, something blue, something new, whatever, within the tradition of marriages, Kara gives Diana a necklace of Laura's, which it really symbolizes, and it's also something that Clark wanted to give her too, but it just felt more welcome to the family type thing if Kara gave it to her. Um, and within this, they will also just see the culture of Krypton and the legacy that Cal has. I would say that think of Wonder Woman 800 when Cal touched the crystal and like the projection thing or whatever within the fortress, that dream. Basically like that. Is very much Jen Bertel art here.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, it's like, and why? And the cool thing is that you could have it where, okay, here's how I would have. Here's a detail that you could do with this, Britt. You have it where in a corner of the fortress, the AI Jor-El and Lara had been making Diana a Kryptonian wedding gown even before the engagement because they knew eventually Clark would propose.
Well, that circles back to there will be projections of Laura and Jor-El,
Mm-hmm.
AI projections of them that basically in they are the ones that um what is it, host the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. You could do that in terms of like them like overseeing it. That could work. I like that. I like that for sure. But also Diana's hair is gorgeous. Yeah, this fan art's really good. It's again, leave it to the fans for making great art.
Yeah, again, when I was doing the research, as always, again, going through a lot of the years of Super Wonder posts and stuff, it's a lot of hypothetical wedding fan art, again, seeing real life couples, and it was honestly like such a missed opportunity from DC.
And I'm liking the clear Man of Steel influence in Kal-El's attire. I'm digging that.
Right.
But so tell me about the ceremony of the Smallville.
Okay, so this one is pretty simple. You know, you have the um in the same field, of course, with I would say we have the Kents alive.
Yeah.
Just because I still think that, and especially with Martha, she would embrace Diana. And again, you're going through these cultures, and to see Martha really, as I said, embrace Diana as the daughter-in-law, and knowing who she is, Diana being this island girl, she nature girl, she loves, you know, learning. Even I don't want to give Rucka any type of tens, but the fact that he did, yeah, I think it was him that wrote that, but Diana loves Martha's pies. You
Come
know,
on,
that
give the
was,
man at least some partial credit.
I said I don't want to give him a 10. I'll probably give him like a point 0.5 for
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's a difference.
You know, no, he's never
You
getting a 10.
petty.
I surely am. I'm petty all the time. Um, but yeah, that point 0.5 he does get for the fact that Diana, basically enjoys Martha's cooking. And within that, you you see this enjoyment that Diana always have, you know, um, again, invoking the new 52, Diana loved food, So what's better than to have this home cooked, dishes and different things that she's never had. And it still feels like home.
So you know what? You can have a fun interaction. So Clark brings Diana to Smallville, and everyone hears because it's a small town that like Clark is bringing his fiance to Smallville, and they think she's rather timely and homely because it's Clark. Then he walks in with Diana, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's like she looks like a supermodel or something. Yeah.
yeah."
But you within this is basically just the theme of as simple as Smallville.
Mhm.
It's very simple, it's very homely and warm. Diana, she doesn't have an extravagant dress. This is very much just showing basically just Clark and Diana.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So then, yeah, and what you could have is maybe Lana is like like brings the rings to the ceremony, or maybe it's Pete Ross. You can involve all of this. You can even have it where like each of the three is like, okay. So what you could do with the Themyscira part is that as Hippolyta is preparing Diana for the wedding, they talk about like about like when Hippolyta first like made Diana out of clay and like imagined at this moment she would be happy and stuff. And you can and then what you can also do is have it where Hippolyta says, "I remember the day after you met him," because like you could have a flashback story where Hippolyta's like on the throne doing queen stuff. Diana shows up and is basically talking about Cal all day because she's so smitten from like straight up. And you could do the same thing with like with Clark. He does it to his Kryptonian and human parents. That's why like Jor-El is like, "Okay, Lara, begin the fabrication process on the gown. It will happen eventually."
Adorable. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then over here, you could have it where Bruce Wayne leans in and he goes, "Look, if you need if you need a place to spend your honeymoon, I have 80 beach houses, any of which is open to you."
I mean, honestly, they would probably go off world, you
Mhm.
know.
And then
Um,
Guy Gardner and Hal Jordan go, "We know all the cool planets. Let us know." Uh, we know some killer casinos where you can have a real rager.
Wow. It would
And
be something like
don't
that.
worry. And then Guy Gardner leans in, and don't worry, Big Blue. They have plenty of earthquake protection if you catch my drift.
Hilarious.
But please have Vanessa at one point say, "I'm going to have Superman as a brother-in-law. My classmates are going to be so jealous." Yes.
Of course, of course. Vanessa will. It depends
She's
on
the
how.
flower girl.
So it really depends because this is Vanessa probably after her rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Going through her whole Silver Swan, and um trying to bridge. I would definitely have a scene where Diana hasn't spoken to Vanessa out of shame and just sadness, but we see probably Cal makes the effort to bring them back together, and to basically pay homage to Perez, that this is Diana's sister, and also Julia would be
Yeah.
there because I miss them, in
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman story because it just feels like a whole chunk of her is missing, especially when this is why, Jared, I don't give Rucka tens because his rebirth is basically like a bootleg version of Perez, but you change um Julia and Vanessa to one person, which is Minerva. But that bond and relationship that was built, from Diana learning English and everything from Julia, it doesn't translate well with Minerva. It doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you that. QT says there'd be an opportunity for the villains to attack. I would say that, but then it's like you could have a backup story where like the villains say all the superheroes are in one spot. This is the perfect time to attack, and then like you could have Luther or someone go, okay, repeat that sentence again. What? All the superheroes in one spot? Oh, it's like he's like nope, we're not doing that. And watch Lex go. Out of mutual respect, I won't attack Superman on this day. There's plenty of time tomorrow for that.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have because they have had a lot of interrupted weddings or something. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll just actually have them go through the wedding.
Oh, oh, wait. Here we go. Britt, is Steve's an old man because I really want him to walk down the aisle. That
Oh,
would be the
definitely.
biggest fu to Tom King.
I mean, he is definitely the old man because, I mean, Diana was in Steve and Etta's wedding as a bridesmaid. So, again, full circle of
That would be
actual.
particularly if we do this after the King run, because because King spent an entire stream talking about how Superman and Lois and Diane and Steve are meant to be together, and we're like, no, they're not.
Right. No, no. I mean, you have 30 years of Steve being Diana's older brother, father figure. I mean, even in the Perez run and throughout that time, he referred to Diana as his little sister. And not only that, but Jid actually pointed this out that Diana was the sort of like a reincarnation of the also the child that Diana Trevor, Steve
Mm-hmm.
Trevor's mom, would have had. So she is spiritually, literally Steve's little sister, So it's kind of like, yeah, it is weird that that is totally being ignored, just for to have this relationship that honestly does nothing for Diana. So yeah, we would definitely have Steve more, back in his big brother father figure role.
Yeah, exactly. Will Larfleeze attack the wing? No, he would probably try that with Hal and Carol, but I don't think he would really care because he wants to protect what's his because he is the Green Lantern. So there is that. But so fun fact, Britt, the lantern oath for the Orange Lanterns is that you just say what's mine is mine 80 times. That's what it is. It's so funny. I'll show it to you later.
Stingy.
It's so well because the Orange Lanterns are the ones of greed, so that makes sense.
That's so stingy.
The Kents and the Amazons becoming one family, and Diana becomes a dog mom to Crypto. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Yes.
And we would have the direwolf Crypto from 52.
Oh, and watch Cassie jokes. Should Crypto start being called Wonder Dog?
That would be so cute.
That would be hilarious. That would be great. And then, wait, the Legion show up, given that yes, that's what you do. And then one of the Legion members goes, "Oh my gosh, thank you! I can finally talk about this. I thought I was gonna expose the secret." Because remember, they have a Superman museum, so they knew all along that Superman and Wonder Woman were going to get married, but they couldn't tell him. So one of them is like, I'm so glad I don't have to keep the secret anymore.
That's great.
Oh, and Jumpa and Crypto team up. Yes! That's a backup story if ever I did see one. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Have Kelly Thompson write that one.
Right.
But yeah, I love that very much. That's great. So, and then that, like, okay, it would you can tell. So the way I could see DC starting the marketing is they just post on their social media a Superman logo. The next day they post a Wonder Woman logo. The next day they post a logo that's half Superman and Wonder Woman. And then the fourth day is just the post that says that basically has like a ring, like it's a wedding ring, and then they just post as a tease the shot of the field and Clark on one knee saying, "Diana of Themyscira, will you marry me?" And then watch the internet blow up like a nuclear bomb.
Perfect. Yeah, basically.
That's all and then the way we could do it is like, all we're going to say is that the true power couple is going to be revealed.
Right.
Just destroy all the Clois fans. A wedding to end all weddings. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. Oh, and watch. I would so have DC say, "Can you please put a subtitle? We really mean it this time."
Right.
Just an FU to the Batcat wedding. That would be so great. Oh my God. That's how you could do it. I'm like, come on, Jim. Let me have some fun with the marketing. Come on. I think they would, because that's actually great marketing. We say we mean it this time. And also, again, subtle FU to Tom King. I would be the most petty guy ever. I would put subtle like digs that only Britt and like a few other close friends would know about. And it's like, it could look so inconspicuous, but for people that know me, they know why I say the things I do. Yeah, it's like you could see like all of the evil light bulbs going off in my head as I imagine all the pettiness. You think Britt's petty? I've said this many times. Don't ever go to war with me. You will lose.
True that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's the way that they really could, and I love all this. And it's like, you could also say, oh, here's what you do. You know who writes the wedding issue? Charles Sewell.
Well, you could keep going throughout the notes.
Oh, really? Oh, did I just spoil it? I swear this was not coordinated. That's why. But anyway, continuing on. So social media promotion. Yeah, that's what you could do. Oh, watch. We fire all the idiot interns that are posting stuff like the times when Wonder Woman was a muscle mommy. And I go, shut up. And then replace them with like, let's look at like all of the clips. That's okay. Here's what we need to do. So you can have a panel. It's like a like through the years, and it's like all the important Superman Wonder Woman moments. And then it's like you could end that with the shot of Justice League War of them that I always start the intro to this show with, where they're going, "You're strong, I know," and then it like leads in.
Yeah, that's basically what, not only if you want to have like animated videos as a montage or whatever on the socials, but that would be something even within the comic special that we will get to in a few. But yeah, basically it would be a whole campaign, maybe a month long. Well, it is a month long. You have week one, which is the friendship that shaped the worlds. Basically, panels or a short video, as you said, showing their first meetings, showing their history within pre-crisis, post-crisis, and that friendship building, to show basically they have history. So this definitely makes sense. Week two is the motion comic teaser of Clark, proposing, well, going to Themyscira for Hippolyta's blessing, everything, the build up, and to him proposing. Week three is basically the three weddings. So we get a sneak peek of the art. So I would say it was very difficult for me trying to assign, hypothetically assign which artist
You did nail
does
it,
the.
though. You definitely
So
nailed it.
I said Jack Herbert for Smallville because Jack really invokes Alex Ross,
Yeah, he
and I
does.
just felt like he could invoke that scene in Kingdom Come, where they are together. So I
And
felt like he could do that.
and fun fact, Britt, Jack Herbert drew a bunch of Green Lantern issues that you're eventually going to get to.
Yes, yes. Honestly, I really advocate for Jack to be a full-time artist instead of, like a one arc filler artist. He definitely deserves to be
He does a
on,
fantastic job on everything the man
right.
draws.
Um, the Fortress ceremony, Dan Mara, or Tony Daniel, either one. I
Mhm.
think Dan Mara would really hit it. It all depends, but he would be the number one. And then Matea for the
Yes.
Themyscira art. I really want the mascara to stand out. It's just with the beautiful landscape and everything and the details, and just that the way he drew, I think the mascara in Birds of Prey.
Yep.
That really stood out.
What you could also do, by the way, and this is something I could so see DC doing, they do variant covers where it's absolute Wonder Woman and absolute Superman, like recreating like all of the new 52 poses and such.
Oh, that's funny. That is an interesting idea. I
You
didn't even
know
think
they
of
so would.
I didn't even think of
Ooh,
absolute.
I got it. The variant covers for the wedding are the various different Superman, Wonder Woman like stuff. Like you have Kingdom Come, Frank Miller.
Exactly.
You have like new 52. You could have all the artists that have drawn this before that want to do it. Just draw a Superman, Wonder Woman moment, and you could have like Jim Lee draws like Justice League 12, a scene from Justice League 12. Tony Daniel draws anything, literally anything from Superman, Wonder Woman. You could have variant covers within variant covers. It would be like a nesting doll of variant covers.
Right. So did you read the notes?
No, I didn't. I want to keep it like I want to keep it fresh when we go through it.
I mean, okay, you'll see why.
I do read them. Don't worry about it.
You read them, but you're like totally. You're like, yeah, twin minds too.
Britt, come on. Yeah, exactly. Britt, come on. This is how we write the Shelterverse, okay?
Right.
There are times, guys, when I will send her an idea for what we should do in a Shelterverse story. She will send back, that is exactly what I was thinking.
Right. Because I'm kind of like, okay, so did you read like the special like notes?
All right, meme zero. Which of the guys from the Justice would most likely to throw Clark a party? Hal Jordan
Hal.
all the way. It's got to be Hal Jordan. It's got to be Hal
I
Jordan.
mean, that was supposed to be Tom King's thing for Batcat, but
But
Jor-El Jones, he said something about she didn't want to draw Hal. She wanted to draw Wonder Woman or something. So that is how we got the plagiarized version of Immortal Beloved.
yeah, or you could go with like Guy Gardner going, "Hey, I could have thrown a good Ranger." And then Hal Jordan says, "The time you threw me a bachelor party, I ended up drunk without my ring on another moon." We think about it this way, Guy. If he does not show up to that wedding, we're gonna have a pissed off Amazon with a sword coming at us. And then Guy goes, "Good point."
Exactly.
That would be so. I wish the Justice League was written this way because that would be so hilarious. Can you imagine just the Justice League just being dudes?
I mean,
By just being dudes, I mean if like the guys interact with each other just like they're like dudes just hanging out.
yeah, to actually have like that family feel, but DC doesn't know how to write interactions that way, natural interactions.
Now, to reverse Meme Zero's question, Britt, who would you think would throw Diana a bachelorette party?
Definitely Dinah or Mira.
One of those two. I think Dinah's probably the likely one. Here's the thing. Cameron, you could have Selena be involved, but I'd rather not give the bats any emphasis on this at all. Plus, Diana and Selena don't really interact that much. And if any of the Justice League people that like Diana's close with, it's Dinah and or Mira. So that's kind of where that goes. I see what you're going with that, but it's like, and plus we want to do things better than Tom King. And then now here's the question. What would they do for a bachelorette party? Or do you answer that in a slide?
I actually didn't think of a bachelorette party. Honestly, now I have to think. It would be with Dinah, she would definitely want male dancers. And Diana would be very like really, it would be more so just them probably going to a club though.
And watch, you could have Dinah go, I wonder what the guys are doing. Hard cut to them throwing rocks, going, pull! And it's like skeet shooting, but with heat vision.
Hal would probably try to have female dancers though. Somebody would try to.
Guy is more likely to suggest that, but I could so see the guys just smashing stuff.
They would definitely have some type of drinking game or something like that. Definitely a otherworldly bar, get into fights or something like that. Yeah, it would be very reckless.
Yeah, you can watch where Superman's like, I don't know, guys, it seems very reckless. And then Hal goes, you dated Lois Lane. Don't talk to us about reckless.
Will he date her in this? Though.
Or like, you thought of dating Lois Lane. So let's not talk about it. I don't want to hear bad ideas from the peanut gallery, okay? Yeah, and like it's kind of funny. Diana gets a call that's like, hey, she calls Clark and say, hey, how you guys doing? All of a sudden she hears like raucous cheering because they're all throwing rocks and like shooting them out of the air. And then Diana goes, what are you doing? And then Clark goes, oh, we're just skeet shooting with giant boulders. And then Diana goes, yeah, that tracks. It's like just basically doing the most man stuff ever. And then Diana's like, Yeah, and then Diana tells the girls what they're doing. Then Carol goes, "Yeah, that's probably a Hal idea."
Yeah, they would try. Basically, they would definitely feel like we have a lot of man children. You know, they definitely are.
Yeah, exactly. Cameron says, "I feel like they should just to show how they wouldn't work out, but it's respectful and doesn't downgrade either." You know what? Let's not involve Lois at all. Let's not involve Lois at all. Yeah, I mean, you could. The only time I would ever involve her is have Clark brings Diana to the Daily Planet to like basically announce that, hey, I'm getting married, and then watch again. They hear he's bringing his fiance, and everyone expects her to be the most mousy, farmy girl ever. He shows up with Diana.
Exactly.
And then Lombard's like, how do you do this? Teach me your powers. And then Diana, as soon as he says, teach me your powers, Clark looks over at Diana and just winks.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was imagining this and I'm like, I just want to write the Bachelorette issue. Hint, hint, Britt, idea pad, just saying. But
I mean, this is for they were probably to show the word, but I already have something, for Awakens. So
oh. As soon as you said Awakens, I'm like, oh, I know how that's gonna go.
right.
In a good way. But yeah, but yeah, it's like, see, this is why I love this is one of the reasons why I love the new 52 Justice League. Or what's ironic? What ironically had great League interactions, Britt? The Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong crossover, because you have that thing where Flash goes, "Be careful, Hal," and then Diana goes, "Oh yeah, they're a regular couple," and Hal goes, "He wishes." See, I love those interactions because that's how a group of people would probably be, like ribbing on each other and doing all stuff. I'm like, I wish the Justice League would do that, but you have too many old people writing them that don't know how to write this.
Well, yeah, they don't. I mean, you have where a lot of people they're so biased and uncreative because they try to have like these safe zones or whatever, or they want to have these projections of the characters and they just don't know how to write them as just regular people. I mean, that's pretty much all you have to do is not writing them as that grounded human that's annoying in that sense, but writing them as, you know, basically, yeah, I think they've tainted that grounded and normal human thing, and that's why it's difficult for me to kind of um, put it in that term. But that's pretty much what it is, and but yeah, the writers make it so difficult.
Well,
But it is something that is so easy to do. I mean, we're talking about it right now of how you can have these characters and having them feel like a family, having them feel like these people that resonate.
exactly. And you know what, Britt? You know what we didn't do? We didn't talk about what their vows would be. So I'm going to do Clark's vows. And by the way, this is my latest prepare your crying cat gif. Just want to tell you that. So
Funny.
Clark goes, well, so here we are, Diana. We're finally at this point in our relationship, and I realized something. It's when the Justice League first formed and we met, I kept wondering if you were real. Like there you were fighting parademons, enjoying yourself, and then when we talked, I thought you were a hallucination. And then when we had the first Justice League meeting, you walked through the door. I was like, "Am I dreaming again?" And I kept thinking every day that you weren't going to walk in the door because I did dream you up. Because there's no way someone so perfect could actually exist. But finally, what actually got me to realize you were real is throughout all of our interactions, all of our times working together, and just seeing you because I didn't think that something so beautiful and so perfect could exist in this world. And thank you for proving me wrong. I've never been more like, what's the word? More happy to be wrong. And it was at this point that I started putting together your ring, because even back then, even though it took us 10 years to get to this point, I knew that this was an inevitability, that we would end up at this point. And it's one of the and one of the things that Jor-El would always tell me when I started off being Superman, I was worried about being alone. And he said, Kal-El, when you find the right person that fulfills you in every single way, like I did with Laura, you don't, being alone becomes non-consequential because you are, in fact, are not alone. And actually last week, Jor-El had told me that, like, the minute I saw the way you interacted with the Amazon, the minute I saw that twinkle in your eye, I knew that you would inevitably end up marrying her. So it's, you know why? Because the same twinkle that I had in my eye when I first, and I am very happy to see that you have found your Lara. And then so Clark just essentially kisses her hand and then says, "Thank you for being real."
Oh, that's so sweet. I can hear the song.
It's the Beyonce song.
No, actually, it's a. Of course not. Well, oh wait, now I have to make a playlist. That's what you get.
Yeah. And by the way, where's my cat gif?
Hold on. Now I have to offshoot some vows that Diana would say. Um, so let me send this GIF first, and then let me.
Yes, please. I want my cat gif. I work hard for that.
But no, it's actually by Teddy Sims, and it's a song called "Are You Even Real?" So yeah, that would be cute.
Yes, exactly. So
But
continue. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, hold on. Let me find the GIF, and then let me offshoot some vows of Diana. Let me think. Okay, so she calls him beloved. So she would say something like, "My beloved cow." When she first left the mascara, her she basically had this narrow mind of her mission, and that she um she put aside a personal life, thinking that her mission, being the representative of the mascara and everything, always come first. And honestly, she thought that having that personal life was selfish. And she didn't know that she was actually hurting herself. And with closing herself off from that, it was something that she didn't know that she wanted until she met him. And he was the one that showed her that what she's trying to fight for is not just her fighting alone, it's for her to share it with someone as well. And especially someone who understands her and who isn't trying to hold her back from anything, or, say that this isn't for her to do. Um, but he is basically the best of both worlds, as a man of power, but he is so humbled and so kind. He is not like, pretty much invoking, what she said in um, Justice League War. He's not a god, but he's um, he's more than a mortal as well. And just being that someone who is tethered as an in between, just like her, it just feels like, I found basically my other half, my equal. And to have someone who I can trust in love and feel so open to be myself without feeling like I have to change. I have to make this compromise within this, world that I've seen my mother and sisters, um, change themselves for, or everything that Hippolyta has went through. I didn't have to go through it. I learned from it, but I found someone who understood that pain and took it, sympathized with it, and not only loved me, but loved my mother and sisters as well. Understood them, earned their trust, and wanted to protect them just as much as I wanted, them to be protected. And how just as a man of two worlds, he is an inspiration to her, a light, her equal, and her partner, and also another home for her. And we can also add on to Wonder Woman 141, where Diana felt alone. And now that she has someone who takes all of that away, and our Diana the, um, will be the only child of the island. So there will be no shipping Diana with other Amazons. So yeah, she felt like, you know, being that only child, that's all there was to it. That I had these expectations set on me, but you've taken so much away that you just made me feel that I can just be Diana.
Okay, it's my turn to send a crying cat gift. Let's just do that. I'll do that. I'll do it because someone has squeezed it out of me. So there you go. So let me do that. There you go. I have it on speed dial because I've used it so many times with you. Damn you. So
Ha ha.
I'm sure you also have it on speed dial, honey. So we'll see.
Yeah,
But,
that's true.
but yeah, so tell us about the fan engagement week.
Okay, so again, we are going through these couples, TikTok, utilize TikTok that you have these couples dressing up as Superman and Wonder Woman, you know, even um, how I've had where for their anniversaries or just a sweet post of send your Superman and Wonder Woman a special message that how much you love them, or just anything really cute like that. um a costume contest, you know things like that to really engage within couples. I don't know, even have like this little uh not so much as a matchmaker type thing, but you can also add in a little fun matchmaking thing with arrows too. Like just have a a little dating thing. I don't, what they had with New 52 when they had the fake match.com
Mm-hmm.
profiles, you can have that too. Like they had the profiles in 2012. Now their profiles or whatever are shut down, or it says now married or something like that.
There you
Um,
go.
you also have, again, showing when you involve these fans, and how I've seen on Instagram or, any Tumblr or whatever, and especially during Halloween, you see the diversity within the fandom of these couples who resonate with Clark and Diana. And it is such a beautiful thing because you see all of these different ages, race, whether they are just boyfriend and girlfriend, whether they are engaged or they have a family. I've seen it all, and it's such a beautiful thing. And again, it's invoking what this relationship is about.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get to real world collaborations. Oh, I love this one.
So we've seen it again. DC had when Superman and Wonder Woman became a couple in New 52, they had matching rings. So for Hot Topic. So we basically do that again. Um you I mean DC is broke, so I don't know if they can do, partnerships with those bigger jewelry companies, but hypothetically, it would be like Tiffany's, K Jewelers, Jared's, or whatever like that, and you know, have these um, limited edition engagement engagement rings with actual diamonds, probably shaped like in like
Like the
the
Fortress of Solitude.
well, not the fortress, more like the crest,
Oh, there you go.
the
That works.
the L crest, um, and wedding bands. So you have that, and you also have the with the wedding bands, you basically have the engraving of the S and the Wonder Woman, well, the Superman and Wonder Woman emblems.
That works.
Then you also have it. Well, of course, it's going to be matching, so it can have like the blue, the gold, and the red. Um, yeah, and just
Ooh, Cameron has
uh-huh.
something. A Super Wonder wedding planner.
Who would be? Hmm.
No, it means like the book that they
Oh,
give you to plan
the
a wedding.
planner, the actual booklet. That would be a very interesting addition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Oh,
type, I would say.
oh, here's what you do. Here's what I would do to be very petty. I would have DC social media post a post. You know the meme of the dude that's with his girlfriend, but he like turns as soon as the hotter girl shows up. I have Lois next to Clark, and then he's staring at Diana.
Yeah, no,
I'm just kidding.
no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We're talking about already engaged people. We don't need that kind of
I
drama.
know. I know.
So, so yeah, basically, I think this was from the images are, I think it was a company called Manly something, but basically this design, the blue band and the gold band represents, of course, Clark and Diana, and they advertise these rings as complementary to each other. And they also have another company called Enzo that does rings, and they advertised the Superman and Wonder Woman rings. They were separate, but they advertised them together. So, what does that tell you? Um, yeah, so again, everything that Superman and Wonder Woman already had, you're just actually putting more investment in it. And the rings really um, says a lot. And I've also even seen people tattooing the symbols on their wedding finger to for basically like a permanent band, So even that is something.
That would work. I like that. So then we have the fan couple engagement involvement.
So DC would basically launch a Heroes in Love, or something titled within within that. And this initiative is basically they are again submitting their own love stories, telling about their relationship and just showing their love to their significant other. And also, a couple will be selected for a little, for a small documentary. Again, you do a little recording of yourself, sending out a special message to your partner, um, and you get these diverse couples. And you also receive a personalized illustration, of you and your significant other by various artists. And Also, I would say that there's kind of like a sweepstake thing
Hmm.
where, or some type of contest of a lucky couple will have Warner Brothers and DC back their wedding,
Hmm.
Superman and Wonder Woman themed wedding.
That would be dope as hell. Oh my gosh. You just have to make sure both people are comic book fans.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would think so if they are, um, joining in the contest. I would think so.
Yeah,
So yeah,
you would think so. Yeah, exactly.
so this would, of course, air on Max or DC's YouTube channel to see um the couple's actual you know whole process.
Yep, that'd be fun. And you could say that, like, at the end of it, they get a signed copy of the entire wedding trade for Superman Wonder Woman.
Keep going, Jared.
Oh, okay. So continuing on. So it's not my fault. We both have great ideas. So moving on, then we get the creative team and the structure. Of course, Charles Sewell. There you go.
All right, so here again, the various artists. You got Jim Lee and Mora, Tyler Kirkland, David Marquez, um, Juan. I don't want to mess up his last name. Um, Matea, Tony, Jack, Alex, just any various artists that Jen, Bertel,
Hmm.
just a lot of artists. Yeah, they're doing. Um,
You ask Frank Miller to do it, and he draws them, and behind them is a giant tidal wave.
Hilarious. Um, so within this, it would be a 100-page special, and each chapter basically tells the narrative of you know um their history, but also again you're balancing out them being these otherworldly immigrants, that's inspiring the entire world and how their union affects the world in a good way instead of the doom and gloom they tried to have over New 52.
Yeah. There you go. You could, honestly, here's the interesting thing that you could actually do. That'd be really cool. The cover is that page from Justice League where Superman goes, "You're strong," and Wonder Woman goes, "I know."
Cute. Yeah, so again, it would be a one shot, a prestige one shot, um, both veteran and modern creators. And it's basically going through the eras. You have pre-crisis, which is the first spark, is basically telling of their friendship, because pre-crisis, this is where they first started the shared universe, so it wasn't really like um just them instantly together. It was
Hmm.
just these sort of moments of showing their partnership. It wasn't so much as romance there, but it was kind of like oh, they're cute, just as partners. Then you have post crisis, of course, showing that they were to be a couple during post crisis. If Perez were to have continued on with his story instead of being sabotaged by Byrne, you would have, had this. Even if it didn't last as long, like say they did have to break up because of editorial reasons, it's still the fact that it really showed that they had this young love during the beginning of the reboot, the post-crisis reboot, um but they created this bond as best friends and they have these lingering feelings, and that as you read post-crisis throughout, that's what you feel. It feels like there's something more than, oh, they weren't together and stuff like that. It was that it was something there, but they were young and didn't wasn't completely ready. until later on. So it wasn't so much as a one that got away thing. It was just a right person, wrong time type thing. And so they are trying to, you know, understand that feeling. And that's a very human feeling. You know, you meet someone and it's like you you have this special, well, pun intended, special bond. And we see that in post crisis. And it's also rewriting it to be a much more healthier and respectful, you know, iteration of that time.
Exactly.
So
But Cameron's going to bring this up. He goes, because you have Elseworlds, would you include Injustice and Red Sun imagery? Nope.
no, absolutely not. Because that only will, you know, bring out the naysayers. So we would definitely do like Frank Miller's is fine, you know, Kingdom Come, you know, those kind of stories. Even the ones that aren't really known, something like that. I mean, I would say that League of One was in continuity or in like canon adjacent or something. So even that, you know, invoking that story would be something.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's like, and what you could do. So, you know how DC, you probably have this, but screw it. I'm just going to say it. So, whenever each of the movies come out, in addition to having the 100-page special, what you do is so whenever the movies came out from like Black Adam and on, DC would release these box sets that have like different graphic novels or like collections. What you do is you have like you get like new collections that have like all of the Superman Wonder Woman moments. Like, unfortunately, Immortal Beloved would be included in this, but it's like you have that, you have the first trade of Superman Wonder Woman, or maybe like a trade that has the 12. If they do this, I would say, can we get a damn omnibus of the Superman Wonder Woman series, please?
I mean, I don't know why they are giving an omnibus for Catwoman, New 52 Catwoman, and it's kind of
Which, as
like
far as I know, wasn't that good.
exactly. So how are you giving every other like New 52 series an omnibus that either was far more controversial than Superman and Wonder Woman or did not sell? Doesn't, yeah.
I think it's inevitable that we'll get that because they're giving a lot of new 52 books that treatment, and this was a top seller, so there's no way they don't do it eventually.
I mean, the only reason why they wouldn't do it is because of the, you know, the bias of thinking Super Wonder is taboo or forbidden or whatever. So,
Yeah, but if
yeah.
it's not in your universe, what do you care?
I mean, you know, Super Wonder did start it. Yeah, you have canon hints or whatever, in continuity hints, but Super Wonder did start in Elseworld. That's its
Mm-hmm.
big boom, basically. So even with that, it's kind of like it's still a threat no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and we know that Clovis fans and creators are very insecure.
Yep.
As you called them, Britt, repressed chihuahuas. That's still my favorite thing you've ever called a group of people. I don't know
Yeah.
why that's so funny, but it just is. It just is. And then what she sent me with that, guys, is a picture, is a GIF of a chihuahua in a Superman costume walking on a treadmill.
Well, if the shoe fits.
If the shoe fits, you might as well wear it. But yeah, you could have like the Super Wonder Omnibus would probably have the 12 issues or like however many issues that Sewell and Tomasi did. Yes, Tomasi would be included, unfortunately.
Lord.
But you could also include like the Justice League issues that dealt with like the dating and stuff, and then some other stuff. But yeah, it's sadly half of editorial would oppose Super Wonder no matter what. Yeah, but I don't think editorial is involved in what gets made into an omnibus. That's the thing, though. But anyway, but continuing on, it's like, so the new 52 thing. So I assume so we would try essentially to make it like all this happen in one timeline.
Not like no, it's just different eras.
Oh,
I
okay.
would
I see.
rather show it as what it is. It's different eras and celebrate that.
Maybe
Also,
what you could do for the pre-crisis, you could have the story is essentially redoing the first meeting of Golden Age Superman and Wonder Woman.
right. Or you can redo the one where Eros is jealous, so he makes Diana and Clark fall in love, and then when it says that perhaps some things are inevitable, that
Mm-hmm.
scene, you basically redo that. That would be
I
nice
like
too.
that. I like that. I like that. And then new 52, it's basically the Sewell thing. You can homage that. Please, in one of the panels, can we have Clark beating the crap out of Apollo?
That definitely would be a callback, yeah.
We so need that. That would be so good. And yeah, it's kind of funny. You seem to be missing a certain era that came after New 52 here. I wonder why.
You already know why. I
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh my
blank.
God.
The only thing that you have is like the ambiguous and Conrad references or
We so need that. That needs to be a ref. Oh, I got it. Bruce turned at this is so, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Bruce turns to Clark. It's either at the bachelor party or prepping for the wedding. He goes, so that's what Diana meant where, oh, trust me, Clark knows how to get his hands dirty.
I should have used that because we can have a fast forward of Immortal Wonder Woman and showing basically Clark and Diana old and gray.
Twin mind, Britt. Twin mind. The beginning of the 100-page special is Clark and Diana. We don't say it's Clark and Diana yet, but it's like a woman and her husband telling their children about their entire history together, and then it leads into the 100-page special.
Perfect, yeah.
And then at the end of it is the kids going to school, and we basically pull a Project ACO, and they go, "We did all right, right, Diana?" And then Clark and then Diana goes, "We sure did, Cal."
Exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. Also within the rings, I forgot. Of course, they with DC merchandising, they had real world merchandise for SuperWonder was t-shirts. They had
phone cases.
They've had matching her perfume sets
that you can still buy, by the way, on Amazon. DC is still profiting from this.
Right. I mean, actually their official brand is called Lovebirds. So you can look up on Amazon Superman and Wonder Woman Lovebirds or DC Comics Lovebirds and everything will come up. And
the other thing is that a hero collector has that box set that has the figurines in the book. There's an entire segment in the book about them as love interests.
Right. So for anyone who says Clark and Diana have never been a thing, yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. That's the funny part about it is like, again, you have people that think that Tom King brought Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman back together in DC Rebirth. I literally sent that to Britt and I said, okay, tell me when you find the inaccuracy. As soon as you see Tom King in Rebirth, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he was rather famously writing Batman.
That just shows, especially on Twitter, that you can be a comic book fan. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start talking and like you're basically saying things that are lies and stating it as a fact, or that is how misinformation gets spread. And you see that a lot of times on Twitter, and some of these fans just become like parrots and repeat the same thing, and it's kind of like, no, that is not right. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're in, where you have these fans that don't want to read the actual stories. Even if you do, show them the content, they refuse to believe it. And which is sad, because it's kind of like, okay, where do you think this comes from?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. So then back to where we were. All right. So we're back at the 100 special. And then, yeah. So, and then it would end with, yeah. So basically, we would also have a thing about, Dave says, stop, have super, how super and wonder things been? Well, Tom King is still on Wonder Woman. So you tell me, Dave. You tell me.
Right.
So real quick before we continue on, I just want to drop a little promo for Athena, the goddess of thunder. So let me just go ahead and do that. We'll play the trailer. You may hear a familiar voice.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sutragar, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.
So I'm just gonna put the link. Did you notice the familiar voice, everyone? I wonder who that was. But yeah, so then I never get tired of this. Hell yeah, Cameron. And by the way, if you guys ever back it while we're on stream, go ahead and drop it in the chat and let me know you did. And then I will give you all a shout out. Anyway, continuing on. I'm sorry, Britt. I had to put a little bit
Of course.
of Athena promo in there.
Mhm.
So let's do some media tie-ins.
Okay, so again, as we said, an animated short film, which would basically be a little trailer of a speed through of the proposal, or the setting up for the proposal, the engagement, and the wedding itself. Whether it be like, well, I would actually say it's 30 minutes. It's just a 30-minute animated special. No idea what animation it would be. Probably, I would say Blood of Zeus animation.
Either Blood of Zeus or DC AMU, I would say, because that always had a great art style, I think.
DC AMU, I don't know.
I got a wild card for you, Britt. Justice League Action art style.
I mean, that's cute. Very kitty. Very cute. That would be cute.
Mm-hmm. But
A little...
Blood of Zeus definitely works. Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I wanted a little bit more maturity with it,
Yeah, I would say so. That works. And Dave says, nice. Don't need a lasso to tell me that. I'm assuming means Athena will be better than Tom King stuff. Well, it's not that hard to be a better writer than Tom King. All I have to do is write well. It's that simple.
Right. So you have a documentary featurette, and it's basically panels to promises, or basically it's just, again, reiterating Clark and Diana's history throughout DC's history. And yeah, it's basically another version of DC Superpowered.
Mm-hmm.
And telling the truth. And you have behind the scenes of various creatives. No, you do not have the ones that are petty like Jurgens or whatever like that. You basically have just people who are neutral, and but also for the relationship. Well, I take that back. You can have some people who are against it because it shows how, what can they say that's kind of like, okay, yeah, you're just being biased, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's like what you could do is as obviously it would end with like because you could have Didio and Jim Lee talking about the creative decisions around the new because it should be an entire segment on the new 52 because yeah, it was a thing in Elseworlds, but New 52 was when it was actually main continuity stuff. So you could definitely like do that. You could talk about all the decisions, and then you can bring up what was like the creative choice to like put Superman with Wonder Woman instead. And you can you can again like have an honest thing about it. You could show like some of the negative reactions to it. And then you could also just say, look, we did it. And it was not because we were trying to like degrade any character. It was just because we felt that they were the most, I hesitate to say similar, but it's like they were the most, they were organically leaning in that direction.
Right. And take it, I think it was Diane Nelson. That is someone definitely needs to speak because I think they actually had before the new 52 launch, which was 2009 actually, 2010 or so. Again, Superman and Wonder Woman being a couple was already being like talked about within their summits that they had. So it wasn't just a rushed thing in 2012, kind of like how rushed John was. You know, no, it wasn't a PR stunt. It was something that they really was invested in, and especially Diane Nelson. It's just the fact that they you have this back and forth with miscommunication and creatives not wanting to be creative. They just want things to stay the same. So you kneecap this creative decision and it comes off as a PR stunt um or the idea doesn't have any genuine thought behind it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so you basically, with this documentary, you want to know the truth, just like DC Superpowered let us know the truth of DC's entire history.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And again, you could have like imagine if they put in clips from this show. Mhm. Like us blasting like Rebirth and calling it Afterbirth. That would be great because documentaries sometimes do that where like they'll pick a clip without actually vetting it. And all of a sudden you hear DC Rebirth, or as we call it, DC Afterbirth.
Hilarious. That is funny. So now we do have a hardcover box set, Jared. That's why I said, did you read the notes? 'Cause it's so you do have the box set, which includes the comics printed of prints of the three wedding ceremonies, the replicas of the wedding rings. Um,
Ooh, they released a new Superman Wonder Woman statue. That's them, but
exactly,
it's like the one from the new 52 that I finally have, by the way, everyone. That but they're like in the wedding attire.
exactly. Actually, you can have a whole collective line of Superman and Wonder Woman statues with various, again, going by eras. The DC Presents 32, that should be a statue because that image alone is iconic. Like, so many fan arts, it's been on murals, and things like that reference. Um, Another artist, he actually did a Superman and Wonder Woman image for, I don't, um, Diodato. He,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was either a friend's wedding or his brother. I don't think it was a brother. I think it was a friend. And he did the artwork for the invitations, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like that. But he did that artwork. That is iconic on its own. So that can be used actually now in continuity. That can be an image, official now. Um, Adam Hughes, Wonder Woman 141, um, that pose can be a statue. Um, of course, any New 52 image, and also, again, Jen Portel from Wonder Woman 800. You can use that too.
Yeah, and then we can watch. We can the title of the Jen Bartel statue would be totally platonic, because you know how some people try to paint that as platonic, and it's like I could show a neutral person the way she was hugging and looking at him with their faces that close. That ain't platonic.
Exactly. That, yeah, that's very much in denial. So yeah, we definitely have that. And again, we are basically just using ideas and merchandise or whatever that DC already had for Super Wonder. We're just, actually making it official. Um, so then you have televised specials, which is Food Network's Cake Wars, DC's DC Wedding Edition. So you basically have who can design a Super Wonder cake, and that would be nice. Whether they use a statue, and I've seen wedding cakes with using the Kiss statue before. They've designed it with the emblems, with the red and blue, side by side, his and her type thing. So that would be interesting. Then you have Yes to the Dress, DC Icon Special, which follow brides as designing their gowns. Um, there was actually a special, I think it was Yes to the Dress or Dream Wedding. Um, and also Dream Wedding, which is again superhero thing. But it was one of those shows that actually did have a couple with Superman and Wonder Woman as their theme.
I love
So
that.
yeah, so again, it was already something already there. And they also had a photo shoot, a Super Wonder photo shoot that I posted or reposted on Instagram before. So yeah, again, it's been that, as I said, wedding photo shoots, actual weddings and everything for a for a long time. To the point where when it's wedding season, when you see a Super Wonder wedding pop up, wedding
Yeah.
post pop up.
Also, so you know what's really funny? I want to highlight this comment. Dave says, should make a DC Afterbirth parody of superheroes from a dimensional placenta people.
Wow.
God damn it, Dave. Oh my gosh, that's again, I know I say this every week, but I love my audience. They're so funny. But anyway, continue, Britt. I'm sorry, I had to throw that out.
That wow. Yeah, so that is pretty much our, again, you would all also have, TikTok specials or little special messages or on their YouTube channel, just things like that throughout this time. So now we go basically to the cultural impact. And this is showing Clark and Diana. Um, again, the whole thing is about what the relationship is about, which is embracing diversity, embracing these two icons, that's universally loved, and you know, um, bringing everyone together as they should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. And it's like that way. Here's what you could do, DC. You could expose other audiences that maybe don't know that much about these DC characters to other audiences, which is why Britt, that is marketing 101, but doing like those themed shows on like Food Network and stuff. Well
Right,
done.
DC has had those before, but I think it, again, with them trying to have those kind of things, when they first had it, it felt like something special, you know. But when they try to have, again, other couples invoke what should be Super Wonder or something like that, it just doesn't feel genuine, and it doesn't get the reaction that they hoped it was. You know, for Super Wonder, I would say that DC expected it to succeed, but it didn't expect it to succeed the way it did,
Oh,
which is,
yeah.
you know, which is kind of sad because I'm like, why wouldn't you have that high expectation? So when it basically um exceeded the expectation, now DC wants to backpedal because they can't meet that expectation that Super Wonder set. So they go, bend over backwards with revisionisms and, all of this to say that it was, well, not so much as DC saying it, but they're saying it without saying it because they don't want to mention the relationship, respect it, or you erase it from continuity for it basically messing up, your already messed up continuity and things like that because you're afraid of a creative decision that honestly has a lot of impact. Just yesterday with it being Halloween, a lot of pairings were dressed as Superman and Wonder Woman for Halloween to the point where you see Chloe's fans asking, "Oh, why aren't um they dressed as Lois or they should be dressed as Lois?" No, it's been that way for a long time. I mean, who wants to dress in a black vest, black pants, white shirt, and basically look like like a random kindergarten teacher?
Uh, I'm going to tell you this. Here's the best way. Here's the fastest way for a guy to get his wife to divorce him. Are you ready? You're my Lois Lane.
I honestly don't.
Compare that, Britt, with saying you're my Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. You also have where the adopted, tagline is that you're the Superman or the Wonder Woman, that whole thing. That is an actual tagline. So it's kind of like it's already there, and that's been there since the 70s, actually.
Oh wow, that's very nice. But yeah, that's my point. Compare the two. Which one sounds
More
more
empowering.
romantic?
Yeah, more empowering. And honestly, and that's what someone or some
It's
people
one
have.
step from calling my wife my Rachel Maddow.
it, wow. It
That's
was,
great. Yeah, go ahead.
people were pointing that out to say, Lois is unrecognizable. She is. She's just a random, like,
There's barely
woman.
any cosplay. And it's kind of funny. When I went to SuperCon after the Superman movie, so I saw like Superman cosplays. I even started to see Absolute cosplays, which I'm so happy about that. I barely saw any Lois because, again, it's like, unless you're with a Superman person, I don't know who you are, except if you wear like a Daily Planet name tag. But I don't want to have to read in order to determine who you're dressed as.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that is the only thing that makes you, for the longest time, Lois fans, that what they would put on for Halloween was a pair of glasses and a pencil skirt and a white button. And it's kind of like, okay, so you're just gender bent Clark.
Or or or,
Now,
or your Cat Grant.
yeah, now it's, Rachel's black vest, white shirt, and black pants, but it's kind of like, okay, now you look like a random elementary school teacher.
And by the way,
Like,
I would pull. But can you imagine how much that would suck if Lois Lane was your teacher in elementary school?
oh, hmm.
Oh my gosh, that would suck. That would make me happy for being homeschooled.
I think a lot of kids would probably bring apples to throw them at her.
apples, or imagine she says, "I'm your teacher. My name is Lois Lane." All of a sudden, 80 apples fly at her.
Exactly.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be so good. Anyway, so then we have the cultural impact of this pairing.
Yeah, so as I said, it is basically a respectful way of showing cultural, togetherness. We again, this pairing represents diversity, acceptance, celebration, and you can have interracial couples, you can have um, whatever age you are, whatever orientation, you know, um, of the relationship, the ages, anything like that. This relationship resonates with it all, and that should be celebrated more. And you just don't see that with any other couple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and see, here's the thing. Here's the other thing to think about Superman and Wonder Woman. They represent, by Dave says, Lois would be the type of teacher to announce that a student peed his pants over the intercom. Yes, I agree with you on that, my good friend. So when you think of Super Wonder, because when people talk about, oh, they're both so powerful, of course they would end together, and I go, well, let's examine that. So what you're telling me is that they represent the purest form of gender equality, because neither of them have any power over the other. If anything, Diana has all the power in the relationship. And watch Guy Gardner say, we all know who wears the pants in this relationship. But it's like, because both of them are ridiculously powerful. And you know what? That's a good thing, because they're embracing what makes them them, but also, again, there's no disproportionate power and there's no disproportionate placement, because Lois will always be known as Superman's girlfriend. Wonder Woman will always be known as one of the linchpins of the DC universe. There's a big difference between the two.
Exactly. And the whole thing of trying to reduce, like, naysayers and detractors trying to reduce Diana into saying, oh, she'll just be Clark's girlfriend. No, because we've never had a story that um shows that. She is always, you know, front and focal.
I mean,
Um,
she took down 2 Kryptonians.
exactly. And the thing is, you have writers who complain. Tomasi literally said it was difficult to write them because Diana demanded the spotlight. But he had no problem writing Lois because what did he do? He had her as a glorified housewife baking pies.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And even her as a mother. He didn't even write that Lois as a mother really, having that bond with John. She had small moments, but it wasn't as much as caring for the father and son dynamic or the super sons dynamic. She was very much a far distant third of importance, even as being a mother to John. So, you know, it's kind of like, again, very much a projection of what um Lois fans have dealt with editorial, with the stories. Even now, it's very interesting to see that Williamson said that they didn't know what to do with Lois since Dark Crisis. And they wanted to give her powers after Dark Crisis, but didn't know, how to go about it.
So you basically turned her into Timu Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Or gender bent Clark. So you have her as Superwoman. And then as soon as she lost her powers, Lois disappeared. Like,
Except to be basically gender bent Perry White.
yeah. So, or if you want to have, like, of course, the romantic, quote unquote, romantic moments of Clark being the hero, and she's like, waiting for him or come home to me or whatever, kind of like she's sending off a soldier, that's it. But now she's within the story because she has powers again. But other than that, she doesn't have a role. That says a lot about Lois, is that the fact that you give her this role to be Perry White, but yet you don't really have the investment for it. Is basically just putting her silent her and putting her in the background. And the only way you can put her within the story is giving her powers or this jumping the shark contrived narrative of making it seem like she's so special. And especially with having like the Laura AI say that um like
I know what you're
I
referencing.
what was it that Clark she accepted Clark and loved him, or it was something like that
She
that he was,
basically said that, like, I hoped Clark would find someone like you. And this is my reaction.
or that's right, that's what she said. She said that I hoped my son would find you or something. It's like you don't know Lois. Like how find her specifically? No. It could have been worded.
According to Robert, what Laura was saying was he hoped he would find someone like you that loves him. But yeah, that
I
still
mean, you
doesn't
could have
work.
worded that. You could have worded it like that, of saying like you, but even still, it doesn't really make sense because it just feels like you're only trying to make Lois be accepted when she never cared for the Kryptonian side. Like, have we ever seen Lois really care for that side of him? Really study it like Diana, speaking Kryptonese or anything like that. Never have we seen that.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, yes, NJ, we did hear that Lois got her powers back, and it's all the more stupid. And then I know that, like, oh, they know. I know Williamson didn't finish the story with her having powers, and I go, some stories are too generic and stupid to finish because guess what? Actually, you know what? No, I want this story to go on. You know why, Britt? You know why?
To torture yourself.
No. There's a very specific reason. You know why?
Why?
Because, and this is interesting, back when the powers first came to Lois, people had the Clois fans saying, "Oh, she should keep the powers because now she understands them." You had so many people saying, "Oh, this has exposed how hypocritical the Clois fan base is with the whole SuperWonder thing." So I go, "Nope, give her powers. Give her powers. Let the people continue to be hypocritical, so it discredits the Clois fandom. Keep it going." See, Britt? This is reverse psychology / mental warfare.
I mean, that is true because seeing how some Clovis fans were saying they are the real power couple, or Lois having powers now, they can go to the moon, they can fly, they can have more super babies.
Imagine how strong their kids are gonna be, Britt.
Exactly, saying something like that, or what else? Or basically, yeah, the whole understanding. So you're basically saying, oh, so Lois didn't understand him within the time that they have been married. So, yeah, that honestly, you throwing yourself under the bus and not realizing what you're saying just to prop up this romance is very embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it is very embarrassing, and I'm like, so you're so you're telling me that, but so you're telling me that, like, it just really annoys me. But anyway, so let's yeah, Williamson's is the run is mid a little. It's not my favorite Superman run, but it's interesting. And then Cameron says, I just like to say that when Chris first appeared, Lois said she didn't want him. You know the story of Chris Kent, right?
A little bit.
So, okay. So what happened is there was this. Okay, hang on. Where's this tray? Okay, here we go. So there were a few stories. So in the story, The Last Son of Krypton, by the way, this is the story that established the Jor-El AI in canon. Previously, it wasn't canon in DC Comics that there was a Jor-El AI that he could talk to. But what happened is a pod showed up that had a kid that had superpowers, and his name was Chris. And so Superman and Lois adopted him, But yeah, Lois didn't want him. Funny how that ends up. It later turns out that the kid is General Zod's son that was sent to prepare the way for like Zod's invasion. But obviously he didn't do that. And then I believe Chris stayed with Clark and Lois, I think. But regardless, that's the basic story of it, and that's and again, it's like that's all the more. Oh, you know what it is? Chris sacrificed himself to like close the portal to the Phantom Zone so Zod could be sent away. But yeah, but I'm like, yeah, she didn't want the kid. Oh, the Chad Cryptozonian versus the Virgin half human. Yeah, goddamn.
That's really strange to say, Chris came within a pod, because that was Jurgen's first idea for John, was that he was to be post-crisis kid, but he would like be rocketed to New 52 world, where of course a his idea probably would have been a contrived, breakup of Clark and Diana for this post-crisis John to end up with New 52 Clark and Lois.
Yeah, of
And
course, because because all Jurgens can do is contrived.
and you're basically rehashing Chris's origin. And then the fact that Chris like doesn't exist. He's Zod's son, but he's now like evil, half shaved
That's
head
not
evil.
that's not even the same character. That's the funny part, Britt.
Yeah, they rewrote him, of course, to be like this evil kid. He was supposed to be the opposite of John. John is supposed to be the golden child.
No,
And
what I mean, Britt, is that since Flashpoint, Chris has not existed. Period in canon.
right, that's what I'm saying, is that they brought him back, but not as the Chris known.
Essentially, they replaced him with another character.
Right. And but he was still supposed to be like the enemy of John. And that really says a lot, that
Well, not only
the
that,
adopted
speaking of contrived, did you ever hear of the book Sinister Sons by Tomasi? Do you know what that is?
it's Chris and Sinestro's son.
And here's my thing on that. I get that you're pissy that DC sabotaged Super Sons, rightly so. But wait, it's not like Sinestro and Zod hang out. The
Right.
reason why the Super Sons concept came up is because Batman and Superman are friends. That's kind of the point. But it's like Zod and Sinestro.
Yeah,
Speaking of contrived, again.
it's definitely Tomasi just wanted his Super Sons thing. But yeah, with Chris now being evil or a total different character and not existing at all as an adopted kid, again, you're going within the eugenics of the only way a child can be accepted is to be a biological child. And the way they um, promoted John to be like this end all be all savior and better, even using Diana as a mouthpiece to say John will grow up to be the best superhero ever, even better and stronger than any other, superhero, because he's half human, and just that whole thing. It's like, do you not understand what you're promoting? And also, even with the twins, the super twins, they do not exist outside of Philip Kennedy. They don't exist at all, and it's only John. So it really shows how, again, DC's mindset, and they're the ones who accept and portray eugenics. While with Clark and Diana's relationship, again, it is of acceptance, a found family, of immigrants, um, cultural union. And even if it is to have an adopted child, we had David um, in the third volume. you know, even though Tomasi definitely fumbled that, he could have been just their a kid that they, mentored or something. Instead of doing all of that callback, a very half-assed, terrible callback to Kingdom Come of making him Magog. But you could have done something like that. Or if it was to have Donna as some time displaced daughter, but her being like a mentee or something like that, you know. But having children, that was really only a fandom thought. It wasn't actually within the story to say, oh yeah, Superman and Wonder Woman are going to have kids and they're going to take over as the best superheroes ever type thing, like they've done with John.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's really annoying when they again, it's like saying that I'm going to create Wonder Woman's Joker, and I'm like, you can't do that, because here's the thing. Oh my gosh. This never works whenever the company says, you have to like this person. It's like this is a fantastic character. And I go, okay, why? It's like, again, with Marvel, they have you ever heard of the character Moon Girl?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so Marvel made her arbitrarily labeled her the smartest person in the Marvel universe without giving us feats that would demonstrate that. Like, Reed Richards rebuilt the entire goddamn multiverse, and it's like all of a sudden he's not that's why because you want to push this character. Or like Captain Marvel Carol is all of a sudden the premier hero of Earth, even though this new version hasn't done anything to warrant that. Or Trinity is the leader of the Justice League in her future, even though we have seen nothing to indicate that she deserves it, and still haven't.
Exactly. I was just about to bring up Trinity because her whole thing is eugenics as well. The fact
Yeah,
that
it's made of the genes. It's
King,
literally of the DNA.
yeah, the fact that King used such a sacred origin, that is supposed to invoke um, motherhood and even quote unquote single mothers, and you force in um, Steve to have a father. That is just so tone deaf and disrespectful to the mother daughter story. But you have her basically as Trinity being the leader. She's, um, you know, the greatest ever because she's better. She's better than everyone. Not only because supposedly Diana being her mother, but also Steve and him being, in the military and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, okay, again, do you not understand what you are writing? Or
Oh,
fans who accept this, you are, showing how the double standards.
speaking of double standards, oh boy, you're not gonna like this. This just happened. So Gunn was commenting on someone's video. Okay. So blah blah blah. So he says, what I love is this YouTuber talk about fandom flanderization and how many fans believe some aspects of a character is the only true version, usually dependent on when they first came up with the stories. Think yellow oval on Batman's chest, all-powerful Superman, Wonder Woman made from clay, and how they potentially diminish our enjoyment of the stories outside of what we expect. Oh my gosh. Does that mean we're getting the freaking Zeus origin?
Well, I mean, look, he did show that he will change up the character story, like the fact that he demonized Krypton. I
Oh,
mean, you're
watch.
you're
He'll have Zeus and Hippolyta forge Diana out of clay together.
no, he will probably have them, you know, procreate like normal. It's just the fact that it, what's worrisome is the Amazons and how they will be portrayed because you already have Krypton demonized or the elves demonized, and to make Clark seem human, which is basically screwing up the whole immigrant, story that, oh, your immigrant roots are evil. So in order for you to be accepted or show how quote unquote human or you are, only America and you living as an American is good. Yeah, that's terrible. So Diana is basically in that same boat. Um, that she leaves the mascara for not just being the representative and the champion of her people, but maybe we're going to have Hippolyta be like the helicopter mom, and Diana is leaving, you know, as some type of rebellious thing. And you also have Tom King in Gun's ear, so yeah,
Oh, and
I don't
also
know.
Cameron, I know it's again, I don't have as much of a violent reaction. It's just that was literally the exact same as last time. Can we please just go? You're doing a universe that's built on the fantastical. Do that now. We've had the Zeus origin. Do the Clay origin now.
It really just feels like they don't care for the importance of the Amazons and the mother and daughter
Oh,
relationship. And
I'm
honestly,
convinced. I'm convinced that King that I almost said King. Oh, same thing. Gunn does not care about Wonder Woman at all. He may claim he
that's
does, but he
true.
doesn't.
That's true. I just feel like, and that's DC's fault, because even before New 52, you can't blame all of this on New 52, but even in post crisis, once I would say Perez through Jimenez cared for the Amazons, but after Jimenez going into Rucka, yeah, very much diminishing Diana's entire world and just her motivations and purpose, with the Amazons. Even though she was the ambassador, again, Rucka, he writes Diana so out of touch. And just that, the ambassador of her people. She's not just the daughter of her people, you know, um, as well. And then you have that awful story of Amazon attack, and having her with Tom Treasure, which was Diana wanting to mate with someone just
Yeah.
to keep the Amazons, having a daughter or whatever like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where King got the story from to with Lizzie was basically that storyline. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to do that. But yeah, the Amazons are basically like fodder or, just these plot devices to be demonized and treated totally disrespectful. And now we have, sure, we see the Amazons, they do exist. They were the first heroes of the absolute universe and all of that, but Diana can never see them. She can never have that relationship with them, can never have that bond with them. Um, New 52, even though it was Azarella's entire story, basically, is to have the Amazons hate men, and what they did to men, to male babies, and stuff like that. But his story was to be a redemption, you know, but he never really outright corrected himself. So now we have to the point where the Amazons are looked upon as savages or whatever, instead of those, you know, um, women who have gone through so much and trying to not let their hurt and being scorned cloud their judgments of things that they do. And then again, Rucka with his rebirth run, to say that Diana can never go back to the island because she left with Steve, it's such a terrible move. So even though we have it back where Diana can go back and forth to Themyscira, we don't really see it. And now you have a dead Hippolyta too. So
Yeah,
yeah, they've
exactly.
they've completely just totally screwed up the Amazons and everything. And we need a full reboot to finally give the Amazons the respect that Perez basically enforced.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're gonna go to our reviews because because Britt and I both read some great issues. So Britt, tell me, what did you think of Green Lantern 2 by Jeremy Adams and art by Zermatico?
Okay, so Adams continues on with how Jordan, he's confident, a little cocky, he's fun, and he's he's going over the top for Carol. He wants her back, and that's really
Mhm.
sweet and everything. He's going Listen, he's being over the top, going overboard, but he's determined to show himself to be worthy of her, and that's just a really sweet subplot. The story continues to give how these moments to show why he is the best Green Lantern, and the artwork is really a standout. With the action scenes and the glowing of the ring
Yeah.
and
Oh God.
everything
Yes.
it just definitely fits the tone of also the facial expressions and everything. It's just a really fun, and again, as we said earlier, you're writing these characters as real people
Exactly.
on a grander scale.
One of my favorite parts is when Hal wants to talk to Carol, so he essentially cons her fiance into going to the bathroom, and he like uses Green Lantern ring to like lock the door so he can talk to Carol.
Exactly,
And the dude's like,
exactly
"Guys,
that.
I think the door is stuck,
Stuck,
guys,
yeah.
guys, guys." I just love that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He does over the top things. Honestly, the subplot with Carol definitely feels like one of those romantic Lifetime movies, of him trying but failing, or that eventually they'll get together. I don't, as a person who doesn't too much like that traditional, oh, you have to screw over another character for the love interest, that traditional pairing. Um, and having him also later on, but I already know the spoiler of turning into
He's sad
um
lantern.
the sad lantern. I mean, I get that is my only hang up would be to I just don't like throwing another character under the bus for a relationship, you know.
But if it's a new character, it's one thing if it's a pre-existing character. But this is a character created just for this purpose.
Yeah, I mean, and we do that, with the fan fiction. We do have that, but it's still kind of like for the story, at least give them some type of something instead of just making them, oh, you're going to basically embarrass this character.
Yeah. But so when I was reading through it to get all the all of my like thoughts together for number 2, one thing that stood out to me is because there's a reason why I picked that panel on the plane besides the hilarity. But it's like where Hal goes, where Carol goes, he's a nice guy, and then Hal goes, some would say I'm a nice guy, and then Carol goes, he treats me well, and then Hal goes, I treated you well, and then Carol goes, he didn't leave. So again, him being a Green Lantern and like leaving the planet for like galactic stuff, but that makes it all the more great when Carol finally embraces being a superhero near like the where we are now in the run, and like obviously joins the league and stuff, because that really, because again, here's the interesting part about this. Isn't it kind of interesting how this is another portrayal of the SuperWonder concept of they can both do this together. Neither of them is alone because they both have this shared sense of purpose.
Exactly. And again, if you
That's
can
why I
make
love
this
this
work,
so much.
right, if you can make this work with other pairings and it's a natural concept and we had that concept, then again, that double standard of how trying to make Clark and Diana not work, but at the same time, the fact that DC is purposely having them so distant and like strangers or whatever, it pretty much just shows that line of thinking of having these two together is so natural to write them as close, and is a closeness where it's not that weird they're just platonic or some type of sibling coded. No, it's very much a a lingering romantic vibe that they have.
So now let me ask you this, Britt, because there's another reason why I have you reading this run. So based on what you read so far, and we can table this question for a future stream when we continue to review the series, but so far from what you've read, what would you think if Adams was named as the next Wonder Woman writer?
I mean, it's fine. I think he gets the characters as, the traditional baseline. Um, I would just hope that he doesn't force in, Steve. But other than that, I think he would just, as I said, do the baseline and clean up, King's mess.
Which, it's kind of funny. That's literally what his Flash run was, him fixing Wally West after Heroes in Crisis. You could say Jeremy Adams has made a career off of fixing Tom King's bullshit.
Right.
That's the funny part about Adams if this happens.
True.
Yeah. And Jay, we still don't know if Kelly's going to take the role, because here's the thing. Some writers don't want to write the Elseworlds version and the main version together. So it kind of comes down to writer preference. Could Kelly want to? Sure, but I don't think she will. But it's like, but throughout this, and here's the other point that I want to bring up. It's like Hal doing this, because what I like about this is that Hal does not necessarily degrade himself for Carol. It's more of like, hey, I want you back, and I'm going to do whatever is possible to win you back. No, but NJ, I mean, some writers don't want to write the main Wonder Woman book and the Elseworlds Wonder Woman book, essentially. But anyway, so Britt. So what? Again, it's like, and what you'll see about this as the series goes on is Adams understands the concept of writing relationships as equals, because he does that every single time. It's like, honestly, from my experience with Jeremy Adams, I would love for him to write a Superman Wonder Woman like book. That would be interesting to see how he does the relationship.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but so continuing on. So yeah, and the coloring on this, Britt, it only gets better. It only gets better. I can promise you that. And that's the thing. Green Lantern is the book where coloring has to be on point, because color kind of plays a very vital role in this book.
True. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this, Britt. So as someone that has read every issue of this run, he's paying. There's a plot point in this that I believe is like in the first couple of issues. I'm not sure if they mentioned it in 2, but there's a plot point that, like, actually I'll bring up the trade so I can check, because I want to see. There was a plot point in this in the first couple of issues that he actually nails now, and that he's like resolving now. It's one of the things that when I look at it, I'm like, okay, and now I see what you're doing here, and it makes 100% sense. It's again because of the fact that it's like Adams is definitely flexing on the I wrote the Green Lantern. I was one of the writers on the Green Lantern animated series, so that's why these characters sound so in character. That's why he completely nails it, because Britt, that Green Lantern animated series is one of the best pieces of Green Lantern lore ever. And the reason why that got canceled is because of the movie not doing well. It led to a decline in Green Lantern toy sales. And because they couldn't sell toys, they canceled the show.
I mean, if that's the case, and then, I mean, wouldn't My Adventures be canceled because they don't have toys? And it is always something about toy sales with these cartoons. I think even Justice League Action was like that as well. It kind of just, well, I would blame that on also the time slot that they had it, but it would be, with the toy sales too.
Yeah, it was. That was also the case for Young Justice.
Yeah. So, I would say My Adventures deserves that sort of treatment too.
Yeah, of course. There you go. But yeah, so you got that. But yeah, so how would you rate this issue out of 10?
Honestly, because it felt like one of those corny romantic movies, I would give it a 9.
Yeah. As soon as you said corny romantic stuff, I was like, oh no. And then you said 9, so I was like, oh yeah, it's Britt we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Not all the time does corny, fly with me, but this was sweet, especially because he really cares for Carol.
Yeah, and you really see his love for, because again, and this is the point that I made when we did the Hal and Carol episode. Look, the animated movies sometimes portray him as a playboy, but with Hal Jordan, it has always, no matter what, like Grant Morrison will try, because Grant Morrison tried to turn Hal into Captain Kirk where he sleeps around with aliens. But I'm like, no, that's not. Hal has always had a single point focus on Carol ever since they were kids all the way to now. Carol has all, if there's any character that can be called, if there's any pairing that could be called an OTP or like the couple, it's Hal and Carol.
Right, right.
But yeah, so yeah, with me, I give it the same rating. It's awesome. And now you're gonna read the tie-in for Night Terrors.
Oh, that's right. It was that the Night Terrors, like 2 issues in, and you have a crossover. It's kind of,
Yeah, that was the stupid thing, Britt. It's because it's Night Terrors. Because here's the thing. Because Dawn of DC had some real momentum behind a lot of the books. People were buying it. And then they literally, 2 issues in from most of these books, they're like, yeah, and here's an event. A Halloween event, not on Halloween. That makes a lot of sense, right? Right?
right. Yeah.
And there's no Justice League because the Titans are definitely going to be able to do the Justice League, right? Right? I'm intentionally sounding deranged, by the way. I want to make that clear. But who knows with DC? So now we're going to get to Bomb Queen 2. All right. So, God damn it. Every time I read this series is straight up, what if Harley Quinn was Homelander now? Because it's like, so she has like, so in the city, apparently there are crime zones where you can commit crimes and without any issues. And I like where the girl is doing a report on like her hero and it's Bomb Queen and stuff. And then a superhero shows up and then Bomb Queen just blows up the entire classroom. She does that a lot. She doesn't really care about civilian casualties. In fact, she will intentionally kill people. And there's stuff in this where I'm like, oh, okay, this is nuts. Let me put it that way. It's nuts. But I also like the 2 political analysts at the top when they're talking about like winning an election and why people win elections. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is where it gets into the commentary area, but it's not like inorganic or like contrived commentary. It's all good stuff. But yeah, I really dug this issue. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the series itself, as I said last week, is something that you would see, in South Park or Robot Chicken or something like that. So it's not something to be taken serious. It's just definitely, it's very politically charged, but it's going on both sides, kind of taking swipes on both sides and basically trying to be a little neutral and everything. But it's still entertaining, over the top. you know, raunchy, yes, but at the same time, it's just entertainment, how comics are supposed to be. And yeah, it is a Harley Quinn with um Homelander or Deadpool or something like that, but it's executed
It's fun.
way better than
It's
Harley
fun.
Quinn, I would say.
Yeah, it's like I don't really. It's like again, normally, and Britt knows this because she knows me very well. I normally I'm not for the very vulgar comics, but with this, I get it because first off, she's a super villain. I like how the heroes keep trying to save her and stuff, but just to, like fight her. But it's like again, I get what they're doing, but I also love how this makes fun of cancel culture so much because there's a scene where like so she attacks school, right? Then all of a sudden you have KKK people and like racists are saying we feel discriminated against because we get thrown in jail before if we do this stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you're making fun of cancel culture. I love it.
Right. It's as I said, it's just going between both sides, and it's really showing how, especially as you continue on, the state of every pretty much era of um the elections, of social media changes, cultural events, pop culture, and everything like that. It just really shows the reactions of people and how, yeah, it was over the top, or how silly it was, or, how pretty much embarrassing it was. And on top of that, you have still an engaging story with an engaging character, because we see what, as you get, continue on, why does she even exist? With Harley, it feels like she exists because of the Joker, and they've tried to, make her a solo character, and she has successfully done that, but it still feels like she's kind of hollow. And now her whole thing is just being in a relationship with Ivy now, and she is just a gender bit version of Deadpool now for DC.
Hey, Robert's in the chat. He goes, "Hey, all funny thing is this was made long before cancel culture was a thing." I know, right? But that's the funny part about. I love when popular media legit like predicts all this stuff. That's always really funny. I like that a lot. But yeah, love you, Robert. But anyway, so yeah, but it's like it's what in terms of how I would rate this issue, I would probably give it about a 9 out of 10 because I get what it's doing and stuff, and it's really fun. It's not perfect, but I'm like, okay, and as long as it makes me really laugh. And I'm sorry, seeing the KKK people complain about discrimination is hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, exactly. That will always be funny. But yeah, so that's the wedding. And I believe next week we are doing a couples comparison, if I remember my notes correctly.
Yes, it is a couples comparison.
So I believe we are doing. Okay, are we doing Supreme or Thor and Sif?
We are doing the Supreme. Supreme.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So Image Comics Superman. Hell yeah. But yeah, so there you go. And again, no Chucky baby today. Yeah, remember it got delayed for 7 weeks.
Right. But oh well, you did have Belon post sneak peek, and it looks like Trinity is crying and hugging Steve or whatever. So it's kind of like, of course, we don't see her with Diana. But she's just basically crying over a father she never knew. And glazing, it will probably just glazing Steve. So yeah.
I think she's probably crying because she realizes she can never bring him back. But this was my reaction seeing that panel.
The psychos just keep getting younger.
Yeah, Nightwing perfectly summarized my opinion on that BS. But yeah, it's like I can't. It's like I would just love to like at DC and say, stop trying to make Trinity a thing. It's not going to happen because it's like, I don't care about this character. Why should I care?
Yeah, again, you know, Trinity was never made for Diana to care about. You have Stephanie Williams who is doing a three-parter
Hmm.
of,
Uh, I think it's actually a two-parter because she's doing 29
oh,
and 30.
oh, so you have this two-parter of her, but it still revolves around Trinity, and the Amazons will be babysitting her. But it's kind of like, okay, no, we don't want that. We want the Amazons and showing them, interacting with the wider, DCU as important, not babysitting a child we do not care for, or an Annabelle doll, we don't care for.
Yeah, exactly. My gosh, but I love everyone celebrating in the chat that we don't have Chucky baby. Oh boy. Oh, we also don't have Unwonderful Woman. Now, you know what this means, everyone. This is the first week of the month. There's a good chance we'll be getting the sales in, and we could find out how the comic book audience reacted to Mouse Man eating and bathing in rats.
Oh yeah, you actually have a lot of books that you can have the Mouse Man, you have some of the Superman books, especially the Book of El book. Um and just more of seeing absolute, crushing the main line, and how the one thing that kind of confuses me about, the way Snyder hypes up, sales. And it's kind of like, of course he's hyping up sales because his book is number one. It's going, I think issue one of Absolute's Batman is like on his seventh printing or so.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his, basically all the issues have constantly went back to print, second print, third print, fourth, fifth, sixth prints. You know, issue 13 just went to second printing. So yeah, he has a lot to celebrate. And some of the um I haven't heard anything about Absolute Wonder Woman and Superman or any other of the absolute, others going into second print. Maybe Wonder Woman for the Zatanna, debut, and especially because collectors. But and the only reason why Wonder Woman 25 went to second printing was because of collectors with Matriarch.
Well, the
So
other thing is that when people say it went for a second printing, remember, ladies and gentlemen, what that actually means is we printed a lot of comics, and we decided to release half of them now, so that when it sells well, we could say, "Oh, check it out! It's going for a second printing." It's not an
yeah,
indicator of a book really selling.
yeah, it's a tough call, but as I said, it's kind of still telling that most of these books are out of top 50, and way below the standard um of the rankings. When New 52 was occurring and Rebirth, or before 2020 COVID, or I would say before the whole diamond shutdown thing, you had estimates of how the book sold, how many copies sold or was or pre-ordered, and that pretty much gave you a range of how this book was selling. And now we only go by rankings, which, if you go back to the pre-order like timetable of issues, number of issues, you can tell the ranking of these books, and a lot of them are basically at the cancellation range. So to say that books are at an all-time high or something like that, or sales are going great, I just really don't believe that. And DC is hell-bent on not having a reboot, but they desperately need one, especially for their main line. And honestly, we've said this since the beginning of the show, the first episode, or when we've even covered DC Superpowered. You went back to the status quo that made you have a reboot in the first place. And now you are in that same status of needing a reboot but refusing to.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of interesting. It's funny being right, Britt, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's like when people say, oh no, Rebirth brought back DC to its roots, and then they're like, oh no, we're gonna need another reboot. Then we're like, no, really?
Yeah, I mean, at this point you're basically in a corner. The continuity is already screwed. Nothing feels genuine. You have these events, you have these relaunches every at first it was every 5 years, or no, at first it was like, I think within post crisis, from what we've seen, it was like every 10 years or so, a little event here and relaunches or whatever. But now the time has shortened from 5 years to then 2 years. Now it's basically going to be a year of every year you have a relaunch or something like that, or a new initiative. And it's like every initiative that they've had since pretty much Rebirth and Infinite Frontier, it hasn't been good for them. And you continue on with relaunching these books that don't have stability. You can have your World's Finest book, but can we have a Superman and Wonder Woman book? No, it doesn't have to be romantic. You can pretty much have a story of showing their relationship as best friends. Like, it's it's a concept that sells. So why hold back?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, again, because DC is unwilling to take risks. That's the thing. Hey, what's up, Real Talk? How you doing? And thank you very much. But yeah, so it's like DC is too scared to do that, Britt, because it upsets too many of the older creators that played a role in taking the company. I don't know. I'm just asking questions, but I think that's a good place to leave it. So, Britt, do you have any stories you want to tease us with?
So as I said, all of the longer chapter stories will be during the holidays because of the holiday themed chapters. Um, Recent chapters that that I will be uploading. Then we have tons of one shots that I'm finishing up. I am finishing the one shot of Philippus, which is her perspective, a fast forward of Olympia. I have another short that it's it's just a very sweet, one shot. Then I have a story that is new, pretty much will be around six, I would say 6 chapters, but it's a time scale thing. It will be told um, backwards. Um, and then I have a one shot of telling League of One in a different perspective too. Um, then as far as the threads, I've been having a lot of fun doing Twitter threads. And so the latest that has won the poll is my hot takes. So
Oh, some
of
people are about to
course,
be pissed off.
I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe if of course, I will talk about, I'm gonna be honest about my feelings towards Rucka's runs and Rebirth, and also her relationship with Clark. I think that will be the only thing that will probably stir the pot a little bit. But other than that, I don't think so. I think it would be um, very mild of pissing, people off. I don't think so. Because most of my takes are pretty much who Wonder Woman is, and my influence is Perez run. So I don't think, anyone would disagree with that.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, there are people that are trying to cancel Perez, right?
I mean, I feel like they're only trying to cancel Perez because they see, when they read Perez, every run has its problems. And his run is very much within the 80s. What we saw in the 80s was not problematic, wasn't seen too much as problematic then as it is now. Um, but Rucka, he's no better. He has some
Rucka
very
wanted Diana to bang half the island.
right. So it's kind of like you can't really say one thing over the other. Honestly, Ruckus is worse. So, that whole thing, and I also think that they're going against Perez because he wanted Clark and Diana together, which is still kind of like, okay, but Rucka wanted Diana with Batman. And for her to be with Batman was for her to rebel against Hippolyta. At least with Perez wanting Diana to be with Clark was basically them showing a respectful relationship. Diana's first relationship, her first experience, and having that growth and maturity, and also, like I said, respect and anti Hercules. So, it's again, you can't choose one over the other and or nitpick one, without nitpicking the other and seeing basically the wheel of Swiss cheese that Rucka's run are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like, look, you can't deny that Perez was like the most influential creator when it comes to Diana. You just can't, okay? So just they're upset that it was mostly dudes writing Wonder Woman. That's what they're upset about, right? It really just comes down to that.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, either way, it doesn't matter whether you have a male or female writer because we see even female writers have a problem with Diana too.
Oh,
So,
sure. Simone,
know,
hello?
yeah. Or I know the sensational comics featuring Wonder Woman. Um, yeah, I think that 2014, 2015, like uh, digital comic, and it was some, where you have the story with Lois, where Lois is being, tit for tat with Diana, and they try to clean it up with them being cordial at the end, but at the same time, Lois is very, you know, she is wrapped with the lasso, and she says she's insecure around Diana. Then you have another story within that where you have Lois, a superwoman, and she's basically calling Diana like Clark's pet or whatever, or saying that she's, um, just a fling. And then you have Diana calling basically Superwoman a thought and she needs to go get tested. So it's kind of weird that these stories are written by women and so catty. Yes, that is how some women are, but this is not a reality show. This is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, exactly. This is Wonder Woman. She's not catty. But
I mean, she can be
that's
a little she can be a little shady, a little, she can have that, especially if she's influenced by Vanessa. But Diana was still, she won't be that catty. Like, you're writing Diana. You're not writing just this random female character. Diana would have a little bit more class to it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think that's a good place to leave it. This was really fun. And yeah, we will see you next week for Supreme. Anyway, stay heroic. And by the way, I'll play the trailer before we end. But stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Zoe Samaxabat for life. I'll see you guys later. And back Athena on Kickstarter. See you guys later. And we are... Where's the thing? Okay, we are out.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sintragar, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.